Hi, welcome back. If you're new, welcome to my channel. My name is Gabby, where I do illustrations while talking over them. Anyway, let's get started. So today I want to talk about living in Japan. Japan. I don't know why I feel like I said that funny, but anyway, I've been living in Japan so far for about a little bit over a year, and I wanted to talk about it, but I wasn't sure what to talk about because there's a lot to talk about and there's nothing to talk about at all. So I posed a question on Instagram. Text me some questions just to get a prompt to know what to talk about or what to about Japan. So I got a few questions, and so I'm going to talk about those questions. Well, answer those questions, not talk about. Answer those questions. Okay, so here's the first question. What made you want to move to Japan and why? Short answer, to learn a language and be immersed in the culture. Long answer, it's either run away from something or run towards something. I wasn't sure exactly when I first moved. I probably have a clear answer now, which is a good question to ask. Why move? Well, I was very depressed. I didn't like where I was in New York. I was searching for something, but I didn't know what I was searching for. I didn't know what to do. I was angry. I was depressed. I was very negative. I felt I was going to be toxic because I couldn't be happy for other people's progress no matter what. Even though I'm sure they worked very hard for it, I just couldn't because I wasn't very comfortable or happy where I was and where I was at. And that was because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, what kind of illustrations I made. I mean, I started making this channel just to discover that, to figure myself out. Do I just want to do illustrations? Do I want to do comics, animation, like what? I have a clear answer to that now because I think what I wanted was what I wanted to do since a little girl was to make stories. Not that I couldn't try it. I didn't try in New York. I did. I even went to some storybook classes. I went to comic book classes. Like maybe that will spark some interest in story writing for me or figure something out. It didn't when I first graduated from college. I worked in kids and that mentally exhausted me, and I worked at UPS, which physically exhausted me. So I didn't really sit down or thought about stories or drawing much. The most I did was like sketches, like drawing people from life. So that was not what I wanted to do, that's for sure, art wise. So that accident let me sit down to take more time to drawing, and I got back into drawing and drawing art and figure out what I like, what medium I like, what medium I wanted to use and draw more often. And then coming to Japan, as I was studying Japanese, I would practice writing, and then practice writing led to me writing stories, which led to me now, which is what I was back in junior high. I don't know how to explain this, but I am making some stories. I have stories ideas, and now story ideas not only come more readily, but it's come more of a joy. And I'm enjoying writing. I guess sparks. I'm writing more often. I even schedule a writing schedule for myself just so I know to sit down and take this much time to write and this much time to draw and this much time to study because I'm also still studying for the language and stuff. I do really want to continue living in Japan. And I will like to talk about more about the stories I'm writing about, but maybe in another video or something. Not in this one. Did I make that clear? I'm not sure. Feel free to ask me your questions if I didn't clear it up properly. And that's reason one. And reason number two is because I always wanted to come to Japan since I was younger, like in junior high. And so when I finally did get to go to Japan, which is around after college, the first time I went to 3 places in Japan: Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka. And of all the 3 places, I decided that trip, if I ever went to Japan again, I want to live there because not visit, live, because visiting Japan and living in Japan is 2 different kind of things. For a year, for like a year or so, and I wanted to be Osaka because for some reason I just like the vibes there. I don't know, I just vibed, and so I decided to do that. And so now here I am in Osaka, Japan. Also, if I'm going to live in a place that's going to have humid heat anyway, I might as well choose the one that has no snow. So yeah, there we go. Anyway, next one. As a black female, was it hard to find hair products? Well, to be honest, I didn't bother looking. I just ordered my products online, partially because I like to use sulfate-free shampoos and conditioner. And the thing about using sulfate-free is being able to read sulfate-free or sulfate in Japanese, which I can't do right now. So I just buy in English so I know what I could read the labels And then there are definitely hard products I definitely know that it's hard to find. I will probably put up a picture visual of it. It is like hair fertilizer, which I figure I can't find in Japan because I couldn't find it in Japanese what do you call it again? The Japanese Amazon. So I was like, okay, they probably don't have this in Japan, and there's no other place that have it. It's hair fertilizer. If you don't know what it is, helps stimulate growth, I guess, and it helps your hair. I use it kind of like a grease to for my dry scalp or whatever. So yeah, so then and anything else like before I even got here, I bought a bunch of like kind of like a hair gel. I had bought so I was much bigger than I thought it would be, and I was like, yeah, I definitely don't have to worry about this for a while. So yeah, for those things, I haven't bothered to look. But if it came from like any other hairs, like brushes, combs, I could easily find that I could use for my hair. um, if it's like oil, I can buy either an iHerb or I could buy it here if I look for it. Again, I didn't. Hair oil, I don't think I could buy here actually, but I definitely could buy it online. Um, I think that's about it. Like things like scrunchies or like accessories, I could use those. That's in my hair. I buy them from a dollar store, so they're just as fine. You could use in your hair if that's what you're talking about. But anything else like here, Pacific products, I just buy online. It's just much easier, and I never bother to look, but now I know what to look out for next time. So yeah, there's that. Next question. Was it a culture shock? Not really, because I was kind of prepared for a different culture. At least for me, in terms of culture shock, the most culture shock I get was from my other foreign classmates because those are things I didn't expect or didn't research or anything. It was about my other classmates' culture and how either it's similar to Japan or similar to mine, which was very interesting. So there's that. And it's like real minor things, nothing really big or stands out. So not much of a like a culture shock per se. If anything, I don't know. It was a shock was that I could buy a tour or tawa. I forgot what it's called. Is I'll show a picture of it, and I was able to buy that off of the Japanese Amazon. So, but it cost so much. Was it easy to blend into the culture? Again, I don't really, aside from the people who I live with, I don't think it was hard to assimilate with the Japanese I live with. But then again, there's also a lot of foreigners here. And then when I go to school, again, it's a lot of foreigners, but it's mostly like Chinese or Southeast Asian or another type that I'm associated with. So not a lot of Japanese. I mostly am here for school. I haven't got to work or go to a advanced Japanese school. I'm in a language school. I do want to go to a Senmongako, which is a vocational school, and work in Japan for a while. I would like to express and feel that culture. I do. Oh, another thing I do have is also part-time job, is talking to Japanese students, and that's the most Japanese thing contact I have with Japanese. So there's not much of a culture shock, but I do like and find it interesting. At least when it comes to the students, how much they know about America, which is so sad that all they know is hamburger. I'm like, oh God, please, no more hamburgers. Please don't talk about hamburgers, especially as a person who doesn't like to eat hamburgers. I don't care for hamburgers. I cannot have any discussion. Actually, my favorite food would probably be fish. I like fried fish and fried crab and shrimp cocktails and stuff like that. I'm not much of a burger meat person per se, so that's very dead end. So I'm like, you know what? How about macaroni and cheese? Macaroni and cheese is American. Do you like macaroni and cheese? You do? Okay, so do I. I'm like, I had to like switch it up. And I try to be playful with it. And it's also with music, how much they know about American music versus other music. Some of them doesn't listen to any American music, and some of them do. Some of them like to listen to K-pop, and it's very interesting. And some of them are like very hyper, some are very quiet. So it was not much of a culture shock though, but it was very interesting engagement when I get to engage with the Japanese students. And see what they learn, see what they're interested in, not learn, but see what they're interested in, and if they're even interested in learning or even traveling, because most of them are not, but it doesn't surprise me. But there are some that do, and I guess that is more surprising than is finding out that they don't want to travel, is that they do. And I also, this is not a shock, but I don't know if it's considered as a culture shock, but some of them are Japanese, but also Korean, but either they're mixed or their family is from another culture, but they was born in Japan, which I found is very interesting. Especially with how the birthplace is going and how Japanese culture is, and how they assimilate themselves into the Japanese culture. I think that's interesting. So I want to add the fact that it was interesting but also relatable. As a person who was also brought up with a similar background, I was born and live in America, but my family is from a different culture, slightly different culture. They came from the Caribbean, and I feel like I have a similar kind of experience, but in America, and they have one in Japan. So similar, but not really. Similar but differences. There we go. So yeah, I thought it was very interesting and relatable in a sense. Anyway, so let's see if I have any more questions. If not, this is it for the video. Okay, so more questions. Yay. So here's another one. What food do you miss the most? So shocking or not shocking is usually coming from my parents' culture, so my culture, my parental culture, which is the Caribbean food. That's what I miss the most because that's the food I have difficulty getting here. It's like impossible. The only way for me to get it is for me to make it. So I start making it, which is like roti, and then I start craving jerk chicken, but I couldn't get jerk chicken, so I had my family send me some jerk seasoning. I also like start craving what do you call it? Not yeah, coconut rolls. And so I had to order a box of dry coconut flakes, sesame coconut rolls, and yeah, those are things I had to make for myself, and those are food that I miss. But other than that, like I could do without all the other foods and just get whatever food I need to get from here. I just buy. If I miss it, I'll just make it. And that they come far few between, but that's it. Did you know Japanese when you first got there? The most Japanese I know, like I said, I studied Japanese before. I said it before when I did the study abroad. So for the study abroad, you had to at least take one class of Japanese. I took three, but the years that's passed, I've got a lot of Japanese. So what I remember was part of most of the hiragana alphabet, some of the katakana, and maybe a few simple words here and there. But most of them I forgot. So I had to start very from the very beginning. So it was a little bit hard getting around and stuff. So yeah. So now I do not talk as much Japanese as still. Outside of school and my classmate, I don't really talk a lot of Japanese, although I have a better idea of the conjugation, how to conjugate my Japanese when I want to say past tense, passive tense, conditional, so on and so forth. Explain my situations and stuff like that. Simple things. I don't really talk like deep sentences. Of course, in class you have to talk. I'm in Japanese school, so of course I have to talk Japanese. But like regular conversation with my classmates, it's still very hard to understand because some of the vocabulary I either don't remember or it takes me a long time to figure out. However, when it comes to like written statements and stuff, I'm much better at writing, especially when it comes to reading because I'm more of a visual person. Seeing the words help me get a better grasp of understanding of what is being going on and what is being said. I have a better understanding, although there are still some words that will slip through and I like forget the meaning, so I'm almost constantly memorizing vocabulary. So yeah. So if anything, it's been better, it's been improving, but I'm still nowhere near very good enough. I believe that's just personal. Place here recommended most. We're recommended for most for tourists. Well, in Osaka, there is a few places. Some of the few places that's known as the famous aquarium where you can see the whale sharks. Another famous place is of course USJ, which means translates to Japanese Universals. But in terms of just something to go out in the city, a place to go out in the city, I guess it'll be either Umida or Tennoji. Those are the places where you find a lot of stores, like shopping malls, restaurants, places. Oh, also Namba. I forgot about Namba. Namba is like I think but that's when people probably will know too. Is also very tourist attraction-y. The one I go to most would be Tennoji because it's first of all it's walkable. It's like only an hour walk, and I like to take long walks, so I like to go to Tennoji a lot. It also again a lot of shopping centers, malls, food to eat. It's also there is where I find the my one of my two favorite art stores. So which is a very big thing for me, if you can't tell. So yeah, I and it's also if you go to Tennoji, there's a big park where you can also see the Tennoji Zoo and also a art museum, which I haven't went to yet. So I don't know what's there. But last time I looked in the website, the what was showing, the exhibit wasn't what up to my interest, so I didn't went. I haven't checked it recently, but yeah. Next thing, least favorite place. Oh, least favorite place. I don't think I have a least favorite place. If I have a place, it's basically because sometimes again I like to walk, so sometimes I end up walking into like neighborhoods, like just basic neighborhood where there's no stores, no restaurants, no nothing. So I'm like, yeah, I don't want to walk in unless it's like my area. But even in my area where I live, there's places, there's stores. I'm like right across the, not right across, but I am right across the street from a school. And if you walk down from the school, you'll find the convenience store. So it's very convenient where I live. So even then, it's not a lot of just houses and buildings and apartments. So if the place I don't like, it'll be that kind of area. And that I haven't really have a place I yet been to a place I didn't really like yet. So favorite go-to cheap snack. Do I have one? It'll probably be the chocolate flicks. Oh, or the chocolate bar crunchy. It's basically like crunch, but the Japanese brand version, I guess. So yeah, that's my favorite cheap snack. It costs about $1. So there you go. Food you thought you like but you hate, and food you thought you hate but you love. So I don't think I have a food that I thought I would hate that I love. I usually go open-minded unless I see it visually and I'm like, oh, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. But I haven't thought of a food that I go in thinking that I wouldn't like. So I don't know, but I have nothing for that. But as for food that you thought you love but you hate, okay, so there's two foods. One, I'm not sure what you mean by either. This could be a snack or it could be a meal. But if it comes to meal, when I first came, the first thing to Okinawa, not Okinawa. Shoot, where am I? In Osaka. When I first came to Osaka, the food that I first tasted and fell for was the okonomiyaki. But I think it was just that store, Pacific Okonomiyaki, because I did went to another store recently. Not that recently, actually, it was in December for around Christmas time. I went to a restaurant and I tried the okonomiyaki and I was slightly disappointed by the taste. It was much tougher than when I first tasted. I don't remember it being this tough when I first tasted. I think the one I had first time I came to Japan was much better. So I'm kind of disappointed. But I still love takoyaki, so there's that. So I'm kind of so I don't think I hate it, but I'm just more disappointed. Maybe I taste the Hiroshima style, maybe it'll be different. But the one I taste was definitely Okinawa. Not Okinawa. I keep saying Okinawa, Osaka style. So I don't know what's going on there. So maybe I'll try a different restaurant and see if I'll change my mind. But that Pacific restaurant, I will not be going back to. They also, I also make it myself, but the problem with that is like not very good at that. So yeah. Next, food that and the next food I thought I would like, but I do not like, it would be, so I went to the convenience store, just scanning around, not really specifically looking for snacks, but I was just scanning around the area, and I found this one snack, that had, was chips coated in chocolate on one side. So I was like, and as a chocolate lover, and I'm not much of a chip lover, but salty and sweet usually goes well together. I was very disappointed. So I would, hate is still a strong word, but I never bought this one again. I will not try this ever again if I find this, at least not in Japan. The massive disappointment of, because the sweet and salty taste, how can you mess that up, And Anyway, so that's about it. Oh, and this is one thing you wish they did back home that they do in Japan. Um, I just think being convenient, like everything having very convenient that of things that's convenient. Like if you, I never use this because I'm so used to carrying my own water when I'm in New York. But if I'm thirsty, I could buy a drink off the convenience of the vending machines. Or another thing that I like is the trains being always on time. That's a big thing I wish they didn't in America, is the trains just being on time. Especially in New York, especially as living in neighborhoods where you depend on the transit system, it's very convenient. And they like, where in the New York transit system have to put this signal up of when the time the train comes. Like they do have like an electricity board that shows you that when the train is, like if it's come to the station or not, but they usually don't put the time, because you know what, they have a time sheet on like a bulletin board like thing, and they always on time, like almost always on time. And if they come a little bit early, they'll wait that 1 minute just to leave on time to the next station. So if that's one thing, it'd be the train station system and how conveniently on and always on time they are. So yeah, that's about it. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it for all the questions. Thank you for watching. Until next time. I hope you like what I did. And I hope that you got a good idea about living in Japan, at least for a year. And maybe that'll inspire you to either come visit or whatever. Anyway, that's it for me. Until next time. Bye. Hi, thank you for sticking around if you got to this far and staying. I actually finished editing the video before, and I didn't want to re-edit it to add this in or anything, so I'm just adding this in. Also, I usually don't show my face because I'm too lazy to put makeup, but I'm even more lazy to do editing, so that says a lot. Anyway, so I'm just gonna talk about reason why I'm adding this in is because experience I just experienced. I want to extend my visa and my time in Japan. And to do so, I'm going to flip this page and start a new drawing. That's not it. To do so, I plan to, what do you call it again? I have to pay the bank. That's one of the things I have to do. Can you still see me? So I have to pay the bank for the school. But the thing is, the school told me what to bring, but they didn't tell me how to pay. My fault for not clarifying or asking the school, how do I supposed to pay the bank the money, whatever. Usually in America, I would assume that I could transfer, bank transfer. And so I guess I assumed that, well, I didn't guess. I assumed that here I could do that in Japan. I will do a bank transfer and from my bank to Japan. I even got the information I need for my bank to do the transfer. Was not going to happen. Instead, they told me that they either pay by cash or cash card. I do have a cash card. Unfortunately, I do not have money on that cash card. So I have to pay by cash, but the bank was closing literally 30 minutes, and by the time it takes me to get to the closest ATM that I can withdraw from and come back, the bank would have been closed. So I have to do another day. Also, I didn't realize I totally forgot I had this, but I had a withdrawal limit on my bank card, so I can only withdraw a certain amount of money. So hopefully I am able to withdraw the right amount of money by the time Friday rolls around, because that is the date I think hopefully latest I want to push it to is Friday. I don't want to go back to Monday because the bank is closed during the weekends. So weekday only for me. So hopefully things work out. I don't know.
For the few of you that are remotely curious, I was able to pull out most of the money I needed, and the small amount I needed left, well, I had lying around, so I was able to pay and in time. So yeah, I don't know if there's anything else, but just hope and pray. Anyway, that's it.
So yeah, that's it for this video officially. I'm so glad I spent these few minutes to put a makeup on just for this. Granted, this is my third time shooting, so who knows. Hopefully you get a good angle. I don't know, hopefully this is a better angle. Till then, laters.